Jerry, I love what you've been doing in media. Loved when you were a player and we covered you over here. What is it about the third Saturday in October that makes it so special?
First of all, thank you guys for having me, Peter and Chris. This is absolutely an honor to be able to be with you guys. I'd say the third Saturday of October is one of the best rivalries in all of college football, especially as a Tennessee Vol, especially as an Alabama Crimson Tide alumni. You look at just the whole thing, the whole game plan, and how everything has gone in the past. It has been a little bit lopsided throughout the past 20 years, but before that, it's been such an honorable rivalry throughout that I'm super excited for this one in particular because I feel like this is the one where we can kind of change things around as a Tennessee alum. But listen, there's not many rivalries in college football better than this Tennessee and Alabama.
We were talking
rivalry.
to you in the break about being from New Jersey. You're back there now. How long did it take you to get indoctrinated into what the third Saturday in October means to these two fan bases and to the Vol fans particularly?
Oh, it's an absolute culture shock for me. Going from northern New Jersey to SEC football, you don't truly understand the complete dynamics of how important SEC football is to the fan bases. When I first got there, I knew that it was big, right? I just didn't understand to that magnitude of how many people truly care about this rivalry or any rivalry that Tennessee has. So it was absolutely awesome for me to live out these experiences and be a part of these certain games. And listen, it was a dream come true for me to be able to play in these games.
When you do it, what is, I mean, again, is the hatred, because I say that word, I don't say it lightly, but in the SEC, it just means more. These fan bases don't like each other. Was there more hatred against Alabama as far as the fan base, or more hatred towards like his Florida Gators or anything else?
I'd say that there is a lot of hatred towards Alabama. Me personally, I'm sorry, Chris. I'm not the biggest fan of Florida Gators. I completely apologize for that. But I think the total fan base, I think the fan base doesn't enjoy the Alabama fan base as much as a Florida, a Georgia, Vanderbilt, a Kentucky.
Yeah, hey, I don't take it personally, man. My favorite thing is for, a Georgia fan or a Tennessee fan or Florida State fan to tell me how much they hate me, right? That means you did something against their team. And there's a lot of teams that can feel that way about you. And I think one thing I've respected about you during your career at Tennessee, you answered the bell. Good things happen, bad things happen. You were always there to take accountability for it. So I would be remiss not to ask you about that play at the goal line against Alabama. Take me back to kind of what you remember about that point in the game. It felt like you guys were about to be able to take control. Almost a very similar situation to what we saw last week in Auburn with Jackson Arnold fumbling at the goal line there.
Absolutely. It was a back and forth game at that standpoint. I knew that we were on a longer drive. It felt good to be able to get in the red zone. I knew they had a banged up quarterback, an injured quarterback at that time, so our defense started to play well as well. I remember going into that drive just saying, all right, let's keep capitalizing. Let's get these first downs rolling. Then we got to the goal line. We got stopped initially. It was very loud, very hectic. My standpoint, my point of view, I wish that as a mature quarterback, as an older quarterback, I would have called a timeout. There was a lot of things on the sideline that was hard to interpret or hard to understand what was going on. I kind of got mixed up and messed up with the signals. I tried to do something that I probably shouldn't have did. Last second, I said Converse, QB sneak, super loud, super last second. Our offensive line, one got the call, others didn't get the call. I did something that I shouldn't have. I completely regret it. I apologize to the team. Shouldn't have been a miscommunication on the sideline. I should have probably banged the timeout. But listen, you live and you learn. Of course, I've lived that play hundreds of millions of times, and I wish it didn't happen, but it has also shaped me into the person that I am today, having to deal with it after.
Yeah, and again, you talk about the career, then you see the Broncos jersey in the back there, still playing football right now. And I keep thinking about this, what your skill set would have been in Josh Heupel's offense right now, too. When you look at what Joey Aguilar has and now the opportunity to go into Bryant-Denny Stadium with this offense, what stands out on tape about what Heupel's doing this year, which seems a little bit different than he's done in the years previous?
Yeah, I'd say that the run game has been much more impactful than it has in years past. Usually we've been known as a team that's been just spread out wide. Let's try to go fast tempo, spread the ball out, throw the ball around. But if you look at schematically speaking, our offensive line's playing better football than we've probably played under this Heupel era. And we're able to institute some counters, some power runs. And off of that, we've been having some very successful plays off of our play action game. So like you said, I wish that I was also a part of this offense because it looks super fun. It looks great for the quarterback play. It also allows the wide receivers, the running backs to be able to be in open space. But this Tennessee offense, compared to years past, has been absolutely dynamic. And that's why they're the leading scoring team in all of college football.
It's a fun offense to watch. Obviously, it's a fun offense for those guys that get to play in it. Looking like they are starting to peak, too, with getting the running game going, as you talked about. But defensively, this does not look like a Tim Banks defense. They're banged up in the back end. They're going up against a very talented group of receivers. And Ty Simpson, you could speak to, from the quarterback perspective, just how well he's playing right now. If you're a Tennessee defensive coach, what's the game plan for trying to limit some of these explosive plays, to trying to throw Ty Simpson off of his mark a little bit?
Yeah, from my perspective, since the conclusion of week one, I'd say that Alabama is the hottest team in all of college football. I just think that they're playing at such a high level right now, and that has to do with their quarterback playing Ty Simpson. I knew Ty. I recruited Ty when I was at Tennessee. He was one of my players, one of my recruits. So I got the opportunity to meet him and his family. They're absolutely great people. He deserves all the success. And honestly, right now for me, if there was a midseason Heisman winner, I'd put him at Heisman, as the Heisman. You look at his three weapons on the outside: Bernard, Horton, Williams, three very, very good players, and just as good of a trio as we have with Brazel, Matthews, and Staley. But they're going to be a very tough team to stop. And especially when you look at our back end, we're banged up. We have two of our starting corners still out, unfortunately. We've had a couple of injuries in the defensive line that have impacted us against the run game. But we're just going to have to play as a whole as a defense, right? We're going to have to pressure Ty Simpson. That's the one thing that we have done well. We are the leading SEC team in sacks. We got to continue to do that. And we have to confuse him at times, right? We have to be able to make him uncomfortable on early downs. Hopefully we can get them in third and longs and we can capitalize with our pass rush. But from my perspective, I think this Alabama offense is one of the best in the country as well.
Would you argue that Field of Dreams is trash talk? Jeremy Bernard this week said,
this guy doesn't have any clue. What that ain't
I'm
trash
not talking to you. I'm talking to true talent here. So, Jarrett, Field of Dreams, that's what Jeremy Bernard's called it for the Alabama wide receivers this week.
I thought it was a little aggressive. I understand as man-to-man, wide receivers love playing against that. But when you say Field of Dreams and you're talking about playing man-to-man, I don't know if he's talking about the talent level that we have going on, what we have at the cornerback position. But me personally, I thought it was a little aggressive. Probably shouldn't put that bulletin board material up for the other team. No rat poison either, but I don't know. I'm in the middle with it.
Jared, hold on now. Let's go back to what you said, because I'm looking at it from a receiver's perspective. I love the opportunity to play against man coverage, particularly press. From a quarterback perspective, you look out there and see that it's high risk, high reward, right? They're stepping up in there. They're going to challenge your guy. But if you get a clean release, you got an opportunity to make a big play. Isn't that what you want as a quarterback or receiver? The Field of Dreams that we have is a chance to hit a home run, and they're putting themselves in a very vulnerable position playing man like that.
Oh, Chris, from your perspective of what you're saying, absolutely 1,000% true. I remember as a quarterback being able to play versus man-to-man teams, you're just going against route combination. You're going against who your favorite wide receiver is versus certain DB. You're saying down and distance. So there's a lot of variables that goes into it. From my perspective, I think it's a little bit easier than having to look at post-snap coverages that might be disguised. So Field of Dreams from the perspective of having to pick a wide receiver against a certain DB and their route and that what they can run and how well they run it. I think absolutely it's a Field of Dreams when it comes to that standpoint.
Jared, that kind of takes me to my next question. I'll go a little closer to home for me. It's been a frustrating season for the Gators. And you look at DJ Lagway coming into the season, everybody talking about him maybe being a Heisman-type contender. The offense has struggled. Obviously, he's had some injuries. But I go back and watch last week in that game against Texas A&M. Early on, they're hitting a couple deep throws, and it was largely because A&M was challenging them. They had a safety down the box. They wanted to stop the run. They're playing press coverage. Like it felt like it was easy for him to recognize where he wanted to go with the football and see a matchup that he liked. How different is it playing against zone coverages and trying to be maybe a little bit more patient? It seems like Florida has struggled in situations where the read hasn't necessarily been as clear as it is when you have single high versus press.
Right. I think when you're going and you're analyzing a team's success versus man-to-man or zone, you look at the kind of concepts that they're running, whether it's a pure progression read, whether it's a top-down read, is it a pick-aside read? So all these different variables goes into what beats a certain coverage. And depending on what Florida has been doing, offensively, that can depict why it's so much easier. Do they have man break routes like digs, slants? Are they running a lot of inside fades? How are they going about that against zone teams that might not be as successful as well as when you're reversing a man team? So those type of things matter. And from the standpoint of if a team's having success versus your man-to-man, you can do exactly what Tennessee did last week and play that bend don't break off defense, where the defense is kind of allowing those shorter completions, allowing you to drive the field, hoping that we do go on a 15, or they do go on a 15, 16 play drive where there's a lot more opportunity for them to make mistakes rather than man-to-man. You get beat one time, drive is over, you have an explosive play. So from the offense's perspective, you have to be able to prepare for both and have answers for both and make the quarterback's job easy. I think that's what Coach Heupel does the best with the Tennessee offense. He makes the quarterback's job easy. The reads are easy. It kind of just flows super well.
Jared, I'm going to get your score prediction in a little bit, but I can't let you go without, and we probably need an hour for this topic. 2017, there is a coaching change. Going into 2018, it was chaotic. As chaotic of a coaching search that we'd seen in a long time. What was that like from a player's perspective and hearing we might have this coach, we might have this coach, we might have that coach? How does that all play out?
I say it's super difficult. As a player, you are recruited by a certain group that you put your trust in, your faith in, right? This is your life, right? Football was my life, is all the recruits' lives. They're looking at the future tense selves of themselves and sitting there saying, how am I going to turn out? What is the best place for my development? What type of person do I want to be around? And then as soon as your coach gets fired, that turns upside down, right? So at my time, there wasn't that transfer rule where you can keep transferring or whatever it was. It was one transfer. And if you transferred, you had to sit out a certain amount of games, or it might have been a year. I don't remember quite yet. But from this standpoint right now, I know the locker room chat, it continuously goes up. Who are we going to get? Oh, I'm out of here. What are we doing? So from the perspective of committing to a coach and committing to a university that is now a completely different scenario, it's super tough as a player. And unfortunately, I was a part of a couple where it was a lot of ups and downs. You had some coaching changes, didn't really know what was next. I would just tell the players just to continue to play good football, no matter what it is, put it on tape and let the outside control the outside. You control what you have to control.
This was Schiano, the time that Schiano was supposed to get that job, right? I mean, back in the November, was that what had been told to the team, that Greg Schiano was going to be the head coach?
Oh, I remember the absolute frenzy that was going on with the University of Tennessee at that time. I remember just being able to go on Twitter and there was about 87 different coaching candidates every single day. So there was just a new thing every day. Unfortunately, we weren't as much in tune with it just because we kind of were left out of the dark. I wish that we were able to get talked to, or we were able to just have a little conference between the AD or whatever it was with the team that would have kind of smoothed things out and kind of helped allow them to understand what we're looking for from a coach's standpoint. But we were left in the dark with it. We were kind of just hoping that it was kind of decided further or later so we can decide our plans and decide what we're going to be doing moving forward.
So, Jarrett, we talked to you earlier about where you're living up in the northern New Jersey area around New York City. PB and I are both simple Southern boys, and when you go to the city, man, you kind of, the lights and everything around there is awesome. But one of the coolest things, I think, is seeing an SEC hat or shirt in the New York City area. Like, how often do you see, like, Vol fans up there? How often do they recognize you in that part of the world?
Oh, as soon as I see any SEC team in the Northeast, my heart is just absolutely just exploding. There's not so many, right? This is the land of the Ohio States, the Penn States. This is the Big Ten area. So whenever you see any type of, even Arkansas, you see Arkansas, you see Kentucky, Texas A&M, you always want to throw in that sort of SEC smack talk to them, just because you know that it's a little bit different. It means a little bit more for all SEC fans. So anybody that's been a part of the SEC from up top here in northern New Jersey, it's super cool to see their dynamic of how they went all the way to the south to go to school.
Jarrett, call your shot. Third Saturday in October. How does it play out over at T-Town?
I would start off by saying this. It wouldn't matter if my Tennessee Vols were playing the Buffalo Bills. I'm picking the Tennessee Vols every single time, no matter what that is. I'm going to go. Oh, I guessed it right the last time. I'm going to go 34-27 us.
And by us,
Tennessee Vols.
Tennessee Volunteers. Jarrett Guarantano calls it.
I'm glad we got you on the show, and still frustrated you didn't correct us all saying your last name wrong for like the first 2 years of you being at Tennessee, man.
No, I just let it go.